Hello again. Welcome back. This is the second episode of the 1965 F1 playthrough of Grand Prix Legends. You see we're already set up on the grid here. I'm going to keep the beginning shorter than last time, I think. So this week we're at Kilnari circuit in South Africa. Killarney, sorry, in South Africa, and it was the second, race of the season, held on January 9th, just a week after the first race. And it's a non-championship race, so I kind of explained it last time, but in the 60s, F1 would run some other races throughout the season that weren't, they didn't count towards the championship, but they were held to F1 rules. And depending on the race, different drivers would actually show up to them. Obviously, if it doesn't count for points, somebody running for the championship doesn't have to show up. So at this one specifically, attendance was pretty low. Looking at the official results here, and Paul Hawkins was the guy to win it in a Brabham Climax BT10, and he, is obviously not a big name. His probably most famous thing he ever did was during the same season in Monaco. He was the driver that famously ran off the track and into the bay, and was unhurt from it, I guess, or at least survived it just fine. But other than that, looking at the entrant list, there's no big names on here. So obviously, I'm going to run it with the full fields, just for fun. It's not going to count to points, but after the last race, having some discussions with my engineer and figuring out, how to make sure we don't break down this time. So as you can see, starting on pole, as I close out, I'll look at the starting grid here. Was Jim Clark, of course, and John Surtees second, right next to my teammate. As you go back, I'm starting down here in 6th, and the grid on this track is much more conventional than the last, so it's just 2x2. So it should be a little bit of a cleaner start, hopefully. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. I'll take a look at the track real quick. The track, it's okay. It's not my favorite track here, but so you get the start-finish line here, and it's just made up of a bunch of all the corners are pretty slow. There's one kink leading onto the backstretch back here that's pretty quick, and watch as we slide the cars through it, hopefully not going off the edge of the track. There's one weird thing about this track, as I noticed, it kind of cambers up on both of the edges, and it almost creates kind of like a bowl, and it's accentuated in certain parts of the track. So you get this weird kind of side-to-side motion sometimes, if you don't get a corner just right, or if you're kind of sliding sideways, you'll kind of work up towards the edge of the track, and it can actually help keep you on the track, but it's kind of weird. So yeah, it's just an 8-turn track, 2 miles. We're only gonna be doing 8 laps. The real Grand Prix was 50 laps. Should be pretty straightforward. Hopefully, so I'll check my car setup. Make sure I load the right one. Using a setup from Mexico, which we'll go to late in the season. It's pretty quick. I ran with 5 gallons for all of my testing and qualifying, so I'm going to keep it there. And hopefully we'll do pretty well, because if you look at the qualifying results, I was really close to the top. I was just a little over a second and a half off of Jim Clark, and right in the pocket of these guys with Jackie Stewart and Graham Hill and Dan Gurney don't seem out of reach. So hopefully I'm able to make up a few positions here. So without further ado, I might as well get going with the second race of the year, the Cape South Easter Trophy at Killarney. Alright, so we're all lined up, ready to go. Drop the green flag, and we're off again. This field's gonna funnel down to this first corner. Try not to run wide again. Oh, I got a tap from behind a little bit. Hopefully no damage there. This looks like Bandini got by me again, so I'm going to be chasing him. Little lock of the right front. I followed him a little bit in practice, and I was actually a little quicker. So hopefully I'll be able to actually get by him this time. And I think last time I would have too, but I didn't have the time with the engine breaking down. this corner. This is the fast kink. That'll kind of lead us onto the back stretch here. Sliding sideways through it. And this is the fastest part of the track here. And we're going to be braking hard into this late apex corner. That's kind of hard to get sometimes. Getting a nice drift out. I'm going to get beside Bandini here. Back out of it a little bit. He got me there. Try not to run into the pit wall either. Alright, first lap. There's a car off ahead. One of the BRMs. Looks like Graham Hill. I've got home right on my tail again. So far, it's a lot like last race. Hopefully not totally like last race though. That section's always a bit tricky. Stay off of the grass. Bandini running a little wide there. I got a good run on him now. Try to get to the right of him going up into this final corner. See if I can actually get beside him. And not gonna be able to. He's pulling away now a little bit. So looks like he has a little more at top end than I do. But as my tires heat up here too, they're still very cold. So as my tires heat up, hopefully I'll get a bit more grip and maybe get a better exit than him. See, I don't know if it's easy to notice for people watching that the outsides of the track are kind of cambered up, but I can feel it definitely in the wheel. It's very strange. I've never seen a track like this before. I'm not sure if it's just a characteristic of the digital version or if it was really like that, but I mean, it's unique. Give it a good cut and get a good run down this straightaway. Should brake just after the 100 marker. Maybe give my pit board a look this lap, see what position I'm in. P7, 5 laps to go. So I fell one spot. Oh, Graham Hill getting a little too much grass again. He's trying to get around. I think it's Stewart. I think that's the other BRM ahead. Oh, I'm getting really sideways. Put it into 5th gear by accident. I'm going to try to be a little easier on my engine this race. I'd hate to have it end the same way. I don't know if I've got a super fragile car for the season or how it is, but I'll try to shift it a little bit before a maximum, revving of 1300 or 13,000. All right, Bandini. Oh, blew by him that time. He definitely made a mistake there. See if we can keep him behind us. Graham Hill's looking again. That's Jackie Stewart. Bandini's right on me. Graham Hill's off. a lot of effort into this to stay in front of Bandini here. Again, kicking up dirt. One of the cars in front. And the BRM 1965 is a pretty solid car. You know, we all know the Lotus was extremely successful, but BRM, Graham Hill actually won a couple of the races during the season. And of course, it's Jackie Stewart's first F1 season, so he's not to his full potential yet, obviously. But we'll see him throughout the seasons become more and more competitive until, you know, towards the end, 1969 and stuff, he's going to be one of the guys to beat, especially after Jim Clark leaves us. Graham Hill again looking to go under Jackie Stewart, and then end up putting himself in the grass. Now, some people might be wondering how I can tell who these drivers are, and it's all by their helmets and cars. You gotta look at the combo, so I know it's a BRM, and I know Jackie Stewart's got the white helmet with the tartan pattern around it, and Graham Hill has the blue and white ticks on it. Lots of mistakes from these guys. Maybe a good reason why a lot of them skipped this race this year. I'm right on Graham now. I lock the right front, try not to go into the grass. Ferrari just loves getting sideways. Take a look again. 2 laps to go. Looks like we might actually make it this time. You gotta be worried when you have a race like that where the engine quits. Is it just gonna keep doing that? Are we actually going to be able to finish these Grand Prix? So if this were a points race, I would be just in the points. Top 6 drivers getting points. Seems like I close up on them quite a bit coming onto this backstretch. Shift up a 5th gear, all the way back down. I like to leave it into 2nd through a lot of these slow corners because it seems like I get a good amount of torque coming off the turn. You know, definitely with the 3-liter engines. In the next season, have a lot of wheel spin, so you want to cut down on that as much as possible. So I think this might be our last lap here. See if I can maybe eke out something over Graham Hill. A little far back there. Looks like we're coming up on a slow car too. Maybe that'll help me out. Oh, and Graham gets held up by him big time. I'm onto the grass. Oh, that was certainly interesting. Might have been able to force the issue a bit there. See if I can get a good drive off this corner. Here we come to the checkered flag. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'll give the flagman a wave. So there we go. The second race in South Africa for the season. And we made it through it. Finished in sixth as far as I know, unless somebody broke down in front. It was a good race. Solid result as my teammate flies by. Interesting on the last lap with the lapped car. Wasn't sure what to do with him. I don't know if I could have just kept the throttle in it. Maybe had a chance at Graham, but in all fairness, I think Graham deserved the spot. Would have been kind of cheap to pass him on something like that. And that's something, you know, during this time period, you'll see a lot of kind of gentleman driving, not taking cheap moves on people, and I think mostly because, you know, the sport was so difficult back then, and so dangerous, really, that, you know, you weren't going to take any cheap shots at people, and in today's kind of racing with so many runoff areas and really safe cars, and you can kind of take these ridiculous moves, and you see it during the Schumacher era with some of the stuff, you know, he did, or Villeneuve, or, yeah, I'm not saying any of those guys are bad drivers, actually. I think they're pretty good, but it's a different time now, where safety isn't always on your brain. So I'll pull it into the pits here, and the successful Cape Southeaster Trophy race. Right in front of Graham. It's kind of funny. So, take a look at the final results here. And yeah, Jim Clark gets the win, of course, in the Lotus, and John Surtees in second, so my teammate in second. I finished sixth, not too bad for my second ever Grand Prix out. I think the team would be pretty happy with that. So up next, there's a whole host of these non-championship races. There's this big gap between January, you know, in South Africa, and then Monaco in May. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more non-championship races. And next we're off to Brands Hatch for an interesting race, the Race of Champions, the first ever. And it's actually a dual race format, so there'll be 2 races. 2 mini races, and we'll have to see how they go. So thanks for joining me. Leave comments on anything I should improve on, or anything you can think of, or subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'll see you guys next time.